Hey everyone, welcome to Horror Baby. Tonight we're diving into a chilling mystery that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Ready to uncover the unknown? Let's begin. Have you ever wondered what lurks silently beneath the ancient canopy of a forest at night? In the heart of the Darkwoods, where the trees seem to whisper old secrets, a man named Daniel decided to seek solace from the chaos of daily life with a solo camping trip. Daniel, a rugged soul with a love for isolation and adventure, set out one cool autumn evening. The forest, draped in a purple twilight, beckoned him with its promise of quiet and retreat. He pitched his tent in a small clearing bordered by towering pines and firs, their branches interlocking as if forming a living roof over his campsite. As the night deepened, an unsettling stillness settled over the woods. The only sound was the crackle of a small campfire and the occasional rustle of dry leaves. Daniel sat by his fire, nursing a cup of strong black coffee, his eyes wandering into the dense shadows. There was a feeling in the air, a quiet, almost imperceptible tremor that suggested he was not alone. At first, it was the subtle sound of snapping twigs that made Daniel pause. He reassured himself that wild animals often crossed his path at night and that he would be safe if he kept his distance. But as the minutes ticked by, the gentle rustling grew into a rhythmic thumping. It seemed as though something was circling his campsite, testing the boundaries of his safe haven. Daniel's heart began to pound when he caught a glimpse of movement just beyond the pale glow of his fire. From between the trees emerged a shape, a massive, hulking creature with eyes that glittered in the moonlight. Its fur was matted and dark, almost blending with the night, except for patches of strange, silvery streaks that shimmered on its hide. The creature moved with a predatory grace, each step deliberate, as if it were stalking Daniel. Instinctively, Daniel grabbed a heavy branch and stood, unsure whether to hide or confront the creature. The beast paused, sniffing the air, and then slowly edged closer. The tension reached a crescendo when the animal suddenly lunged. In that split second, Daniel's survival instincts kicked in. He sprinted toward the narrow trail that led back to a nearby ranger station he remembered from old hiking maps. Branches whipped past him as he ran through the underbrush, fueled by adrenaline and fear. Behind him, the beast's heavy footsteps echoed, but it did not pursue immediately. Instead, it seemed curious, almost hesitant. The chase was a desperate blur until Daniel burst from the forest's edge, stumbling onto a faintly lit road. As the first hints of dawn broke over the horizon, the creature vanished back into the darkness of the woods. Daniel, gasping for breath and trembling from the ordeal, looked back at the forest. It seemed as if the very trees were concealing a secret menace, a reminder that nature, in all its beauty, could also be perilous. Daniel never returned to that forest, but on lonely nights, he would recall the beast's haunting eyes and the palpable fear it stirred deep within him. Have you ever felt that in the dead of night, you're not alone, even when you're miles away from civilization? Along the winding course of the River Ember, a man named Marcus set out for what was meant to be a peaceful camping retreat. The river, known for its gentle murmur and reflective surfaces, promised a night of soothing solitude. However, what awaited Marcus was a night filled with whispers of danger and the looming threat of a human menace. Marcus, an avid outdoorsman with a love for fishing and stargazing, found a secluded riverside spot far from the nearest town. He set up his tent on a small rise overlooking the water, where the moon cast rippling reflections across the surface of the river. After a simple dinner and a few quiet hours spent listening to the river's soft lullaby, Marcus settled in for the night. As midnight approached, a sudden chill cut through the air. The comforting sounds of nature faded into silence, replaced by an eerie emptiness that made every rustle seem amplified. In the distance, Marcus heard an irregular crunching. Footsteps, perhaps? At first, he thought it might be an animal, but the cadence of the sound seemed too deliberate, too human. Trying to shake off his growing unease, Marcus pressed his ear against the fabric of his tent. The soft echo of footsteps grew nearer, mingling with hushed murmurs that suggested someone was speaking in low tones. Fear prickled along his skin as the sound of a door creaking open somewhere nearby became unmistakably clear. Marcus crept out of his tent and peered into the dark, moonlit landscape. On the riverbank, a shadow moved, The figure was tall, dressed in dark clothing that blended with the night, carrying a long object that glinted faintly under the moonlight. It was as if the person was stalking, waiting for the perfect moment. Marcus's heart hammered in his chest as he realized he might be in danger. He retreated silently to his campsite and hurriedly packed his essentials. Every instinct screamed at him to run. As the mysterious figure drew closer, its deliberate and steady pace matching his own nervous steps, Marcus dashed into the woods. The forest around him was a maze of darkened paths and tangled undergrowth, a living nightmare of obstacles. The killer's presence was palpable, the echo of their footsteps close behind. Marcus's mind raced with memories of cautionary tales he'd once dismissed as mere folklore. Now, in the pitch-black wilderness, those tales felt dreadfully real. The forest seemed to conspire against him, muffling his footsteps and playing tricks with the shadows. After what felt like hours of heart-pounding running, Marcus finally reached a small clearing where the first light of dawn was breaking. The figure, now obscured by the receding darkness and the sudden burst of morning light, ceased its pursuit. Marcus, exhausted and shaking, collapsed onto the dew-covered grass. The danger had passed, but the terror of that night lingered, etched into his mind as the time he narrowly escaped the clutches of a relentless, unseen killer.
Would you dare to listen when the night whispers secrets only the dead can share? Near the outskirts of a forgotten mountain village, a solitary lake, nestled between mist-veiled slopes, had long been the subject of hushed local legends. It was here that a woman named Eliza, drawn by an inexplicable pull, embarked on a camping trip that would forever change her understanding of the other side. Eliza, a curious soul with a penchant for uncovering hidden truths, chose the quiet solitude of the Misty Lake for her retreat. The lake, shrouded in perpetual mist even during daylight, exuded an aura of melancholy and mystery. Setting up her tent along the water's edge, she lit a small fire to ward off the biting cold that accompanied the encroaching nightfall. As darkness descended, the lake's surface became a mirror of silvery gray, reflecting the subtle hues of a starless sky. Eliza settled into her chair, gazing into the fog, when a chill wind carried with it the faint sound of a melody, an indistinct, almost sorrowful tune. It was as if the mist itself was murmuring, beckoning her closer. Driven by equal measures of fear and fascination, Eliza ventured away from the fire and towards the lake. Each step on the soft, damp earth seemed to echo with the voices of those long gone. She reached the water's edge, where the mist swirled around her like the delicate veils of forgotten memories. The sound grew clearer, a soft, whispering voice that seemed to say, "Please, help me." Eliza's heart pounded as she tried to locate the source of the plea. In the distance, emerging from the depths of the swirling mist, she saw a faint figure, the apparition of a woman. Draped in a tattered antique gown, her face partially obscured by shadows, stood at the water's edge. The ghostly figure raised a trembling hand, as if beckoning Eliza to come closer. Unable to resist the pull of this paranormal encounter, Eliza approached cautiously. The spectral figure's eyes met hers, sad yet longing. A sudden flash of images overwhelmed Eliza. Fragments of a tragic past, a life cut short, and unspeakable sorrow echoing through time. The voice, now soft yet desperate, repeated its plea in a language lost to time, urging her to uncover the mystery behind its torment. Frozen between fear and compassion, Eliza spent what felt like hours communicating with the ghost through whispers and silent tears. The apparition revealed a tragic secret. She was a young woman who had drowned in the lake centuries ago, her spirit trapped in eternal longing for justice and remembrance. As the spectral conversation faded, the ghost slowly dissolved into the mist, leaving Eliza with an overwhelming sense of loss and wonder. Before the first rays of dawn broke, Eliza returned to her tent, haunted yet determined. With trembling hands, she resolved to research local lore and unravel the mystery of the lost soul. The experience had changed her forever, transforming her fear into a burning desire to bring peace to the restless spirit. Over time, through painstaking investigation and compassionate outreach, Eliza became known as the Whisperer of Misty Lake, a woman whose encounter with the paranormal unlocked stories that the town had long forgotten.